the CEO joining us now. Tony Smurfit is back with us. Tony, nice to see you back on board with his son Squawk Box. Let me get into the numbers. It feels as though you've been somewhat of a pandemic winner as we take a look at your stock price. All of those e-commerce purchases that stay-at-home consumers and businesses are ordering. Just give us a sense of the trends that you're witnessing in that final 3 months of the year.
Yeah, hi Karen. The final 3 months were exceptionally strong for us. We did see very strong growth across pretty well all markets. And as you say, e-commerce was a driver, but not only e-commerce, we had the sustainability agenda of many of our customers who are really ramping that up. So we see that as being a very, very strong future mega trend for us. So across practically every country, the fourth quarter, we had a 6% growth in Europe and a 9% growth in the Americas, which was truly exceptional. And those trends actually have continued as we've gone into the first month of the year. So I think when you look at the trends for our business, they remain very, very robust.
Tony, you still mentioned the word uncertainty, though, in the results today, and it feels as though it's tricky water from here, whether we see a change to some of the consumer behaviours as vaccines start to make a difference and social distancing, patterns where we witness start to change again. What do you make of what you could be facing by the end of this year?
I think, we still remain very optimistic. Obviously, the whole area of uncertainty is in relation to how people are going to adjust to things after the pandemic ends. And our view and my view certainly is that things will be still very robust because, for all the difficulties out there, there are a lot of people who have pent up spending power that is going to come out in the future. And, we would see that there will be a shift away from certain aspects of the benefit that we're getting, but that will shift to other areas such as food and drink, where we think we'll pick up on the away from home.
Tony, there's an unstoppable train which is on the sustainability front now as well. You're doing your bit, but I was very interested in this sustainability-linked loan of yours in late January. I think it's 1.35 billion euros. Tell me why this was different from a traditional form of financing and why maybe it's the way forward. I
think it's not so much, Steve, it's not so much the money that we're going to save, but I think it's an intent by banks, it's an intent by society to change the way we think about sustainability. And, I think if anything that the pandemic has taught us that we need to think about the world that we're living in. And I think banks and companies, we in Smurfit Kappa do not subscribe to the Milton Friedman type of thinking that our only role is to make money. Our role is to be a good corporate citizen. But banks are taking that on board and they're saying, listen, there is a reward, albeit small, to be a more sustainable company. And, we expect to get some benefit from it, albeit, as I say, small. So I think we're just doing our piece on all fronts on the sustainability agenda to really drive through a new thinking, a new way of acting as a company. And I think that's going to happen more and more across society. And you see that with all of our customers. I mean, wherever they can, the forward-thinking customers are moving forward to replace plastic where it's not needed. I mean, of course, plastic is going to be needed in society, but where it can be replaced, they're coming to sustainable solutions such as our product, which I think is very positive for us looking forward.
Tony, there's so many interesting things you said there. One of them is very interesting. We're not here just to make money as well, but there are shareholders rather than stakeholders in Smurfit Kappa still, and again, they may be in the minority, I don't know, who still want you to maximise profits. Will they have to compromise much as you roll out a sustainability agenda going forward?
I think, Steve, I think we're seeing more and more shareholders say you have to balance things. I mean, of course, our mission in life is to make money as with the product that we produce, but at the same time, one of the things that I'm especially proud of is that all the things that we've done around our corporate social responsibility across the company. We've given over 3 million euros in addition to what we normally do, is about 5 million euros to the societies in which we operate. And I think it's just part of doing business that today, if you're not doing that, I think that then we are, we're not fulfilling our role in society. And of course, we have to be profit orientated, and we are. But part of our role after being profit orientated and maximizing that is to make sure we give something back. And I think our shareholders welcome that. I haven't met a shareholder that has been against that, frankly. And and I think most of them applaud us. And what part of the reason we're moving towards investment grade as a company is that we will attract a whole bunch of new shareholders from the investment grade point of view, but also from the ESG point of view. We're seeing that more and more of our shareholders are demanding or are insisting that we are, focused on ESG.
Tony, can I just take you back to some of the numbers that I'm interested in? I seem to be the person that always asks you about cardboard prices. I'm still very interested. Virgin pulp prices seem to be steadily rising here. OCC prices surely have to be going up. There are some places talking about a shortage of boxes, which I think is remarkable, but tells us a lot about this current period. How is that going to affect margin?
Well, it's a very good question, Jeff. I think when you actually see the position of our marketplace right now, I mean, I've been in the business for 34 years now, and I have never seen paper as tight as it is. There is a global shortage of paper, and obviously that has its implications. That means a lot of our raw material prices are going up, such as you mentioned, waste paper, which is again going up very strongly in price, which is of course forcing paper prices up, which will ultimately force box prices up. We've never seen a situation like this. I mean, you've commented on your show yesterday and the day before about chip shortages. We see in our bag and box business, which grew very strongly last year, that polymer issues of getting supply in polymers. So there are a number of dislocations that the pandemic has caused to happen. And from our perspective, as I say, our product prices are going up. There may be a small short-term margin squeeze, but we are recovering that in box prices. And we're pretty optimistic, given the demand and mega trends that we're seeing, that we'll have a very strong forward-looking future.
Let me ask you a slightly cheeky question.
It's a big issue. It is a big issue, Jeff.
Let me just ask you a slightly cheeky question. As you look at the share price performance here, I mean, this is the best it's been in at least 5 years, probably all-time highs, I suspect. As a shareholder yourself, why would you not sell at this point and just take advantage of this phase that you've had? Because I know there's a lot of speculation as to whether once people start going back to stores, there's a bit of a cliff edge for box manufacturers and those that supply the industry.
Jeff, it's not a cheeky question at all. I mean, I am very bullish about the share price. I think if you look at the opportunity that we have ahead of us with regard to growth in these mega trends, I talk about sustainability, innovation, shelf-ready packaging, of course, e-commerce, which we talk about. I mean, you look at some of our markets like Brazil or Mexico, where we grew from very small base, but 150% in e-commerce last year in Mexico, 70% in Brazil, 80% in Russia. I mean, these are just starting. So, if you actually look at Smurfit Kappa, and, people say that CEOs shouldn't look at their share price all the time, but actually I do. And I do believe that we've got a very, very strong future. Our multiple is considerably lower than many of our peers or some of our peers, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. When you see the opportunity set that I see and my executives see across the company to really supercharge our growth, I think that's really exciting. And then, you talk about people going back to store. Yes, they will, but the other trends were there before this. Before last year, if you look at January last year, there was no pandemic in Europe, and yet we've grown very strongly last year in January versus the previous year, which was already very strong. So the outlook for our business remains extremely robust. Of course, we have to bear in mind that the world is printing money at the moment, and there's a lot of government support, and when that goes away, that might give some uncertainty. But equally, as I said before, I think one of the things that I'm very encouraged about is there are a lot of people who are sitting at home, not spending a lot of money, and then when this whole pandemic ends, I think they will go out and spend money, and instead of having 2 vodkas, they'll have 3, and I think that's going to be a very, very interesting time for the world. At least that's the bullish thesis that I have.
Tony, I'm hoping that Mr. Sedgwick won't go out and start spending money again. I quite like the current regime. Tony, lovely to hear from you. Thank you very much. I love the honesty about
I
looking
hear,
at
Steve,
your share
you're
price.
going
So many
to holiday in
CEOs.
the Lake District. So.
You've been paying attention the last couple of days,
Of course
Tony.
I have.
love that
Of
kind of
course I
CEO.
have.
Thank you very much indeed.
Take care.
I'll be lucky if I just get away with the Lake District. That's all I can say. Tony, nice to hear from you.